You want to know how to draft well in a 14-teamer. Now, you demanded it. There were comments. There were comments left on the videos. You said you wanted to go deep. 12 teams? I heard 12 teams. I want the 14-team juice. And we are bringing the juice today because this was one of the most hotly contested mock drafts I have ever been a part of. We are talking industry experts like DMac, who will join me on this show. We are talking top guns like Josh Lloyd, Alex Baratha, Adam King, Dan Besbris. The list goes on and on. If you want to know the industry insider, experts' latest round by round, blow for blow, 14-team mock draft, 140 deep, well, it's coming up at you right after this. Sweaty. It was a very, very sweaty time over 3 days, wasn't it, DMac?
It was sweaty, and we got off to a really slow start thanks to myself. I was asleep when it started.
You were the problem.
Yeah, it took me a long time to think to take Jokic number one. But yeah, I should have set up my auto draft. But hey, these things happen.
No, they do. They do. You did toss up. No, you did toss up because you are in Western Australia. And this was truly an absolutely global draft. So let me get this on here straight away. Putting it up, and I want to shout out and premise by saying these drafts come together by someone who puts them together in the industry, and especially ones with this much of an industry expert talent pool. So shout out to Dan Besbris at Old Man Squad, because he put this one together. And you can see here, you drafted at one. We've got Noah Rubin, Rotomancer. We've got Thunder Dan Palo, Mike Barner there, Alex Baratha, Matty Lawson, Adam King, myself, Josh Lloyd, Kayla Fonte, Dan Titus. Shout out to our homie and an absolute guru from Yahoo, Old Man Besbris himself, Dan Besbris, and Adam G Stock from Elite Fantasy Basketball. This was, and we've said that we were messaging about this, like just between us, one of the most robustly talented bunch of analysts we've had the pleasure of drafting against.
Absolutely. Sexy lineup. A lot of guys, and like you said, global. A few Aussies in there, and also shout out to Kayla Fonte as well. I don't think she's done many to this point. She's been, holidaying, but she's back with a vengeance. So hopefully we can get onto this show at some stage.
Oh yeah, Kayla will jump on. She is an absolute legend, and shout out to our homegirl Kayla over in Canada. Look, you kicked us off here. Let's just go through your build front to back, because you did what I just didn't do with my second pick, because I absolutely love the LeBron Jokic build. So just take us through your build front to back, because we have to preface as well that this was 10 players deep. It is a 2-center league, 14 teamers. So you'll be expecting the best 140 players off the board. So take us through your team from 1 all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, no brainer there with Jokic, but LeBron James to fall to 20. This is 28. It's a 14-teamer. So 28 I thought was nice value. You've talked about pairing Jokic with LeBron James in a 12-teamer at 24. So for him to fall to 28, and I got a little bit of shade in the comments when I did post my team. Oh, it's old or it's boring. You know what? Boring still wins you championships. So getting Jokic, getting LeBron James. Later on, I was able to get a few other old guys, and that's fine. Old and steady. And I think I did actually shout out Dan Besbris when someone actually questioned my build, my punt build on a live that I went on this morning. Getting Jokic, but you've punted rebounds and blocks. Well, yeah, with Jokic, you tend to punt blocks anyway. And rebounds, it just turned out that way because I think I got some nice value throughout with some of my guards and forwards.
No, you bought a bunch of injured guards, drinks at the bar, and took them home with you. You took Darius Garland in the 4th round, and you could not help yourself. You've been like, oh, wait a second. I've just drafted one injured guard. Let me draft another one right now. And you made 3 consecutive guard picks. Again, though, there is a guard shortage. So we must preface this. When we see these orange blocks down there, you're really trying to take advantage of this. And now Garland's out for a very brief time. Tyler Herro's out a little bit longer. But these are guys, again, who can add and stack up assists with guys like LeBron James and Jokic. And that complements your really deep run of points and assists that you were going for in this one, and keeping your free throw elevation high.
Yeah, I've gone for real efficiency in this squad, but also, like you said, I've gone assists, and those that have watched me draft before know that I love to target guards very early. Getting Jokic definitely helps. Getting those assists, LeBron James is not shy of those assists as well. But yeah, it was too tempting for me to leave both Garland and Herro out of my team. I ended up getting both. So probably not the right move in hindsight, but it's still projected quite nicely with those guys. And I play for fantasy playoffs. I don't play to win every single week in the first month. And I'm going to struggle in the first few weeks. And Denver also, I've got 2 Denver guys on my squad. They don't have the best run in the first month of the season. I think they start out with 2 games, 2, 3, 4, and 3. So it's not the best. It's not the worst. So it will be difficult if I was to run this out.
Yeah, again, and I'm actually doing that right now as well. So I am I've just drafted Nikola Jokic on a draft that I'm doing right now, and so I've been okay with taking him there at number 1 because I know that the playoffs run until week 20. So my start might be slow, and that's okay. But I can offset that later, as you said. And again, they gain momentum. And again, we play for fantasy playoffs. We play to be in the mix, but then we play to win them. So that's all come. And take us through the rest of your picks there from Cam Johnson, mate.
Yeah, Cam Johnson, a favorite of ours. I think there's some value in 9-cat there. He's going to have a really solid role for Denver. So, yeah, I've just had 3 Denver guys, couldn't resist, but really solid role. We saw what he did at the Nets. He won't be as good as he was per game, but having that continuous role, he's not going to be benched. He's not going to be sat for maintenance days as much. So really like Cam there. John Collins, again, going to be solid. Going to be playing on a competitive Clippers team. So again, no shenanigans from the Utah Jazz of last season. Tobias Harris, I thought that was a really nice value pick, if I must say so myself.
Yeah, that was a stupid pick because I did toy up with that one. So the next one you peeled back up on these ones, I like the picks here. You've taken back-to-back on that one. You've coupled him with Herb Jones, who we mentioned about in our Flyers show. Make sure you check that. That is coming this week on the Believe Network. We have a 2-part late-round Flyers episode, over 40 names. Make sure you get juiced onto that as they drop out over the course of the week. And then you've topped it off by giving us the boner at the end.
Yeah, Boner Lloyd. He also appears on that Flyers episode as well, part 2. So we speak about Adam Boner. Nice little handcuff for Joel Embiid. I also needed a second center. We spoke about it in our other episode that I really was eyeing off DeAndre Hunter, even an injured Kyrie Irving, an injured DeJounte Murray. But this league, by all accounts, doesn't have any IRs. And I don't know if that was deliberate by Dan or it was just an oversight. But yeah, had to be mindful of that, having already Garland and Herro in this team.
I think it really was Besbris forcing our hand to be like, who are the best 140 players who we're going to draft here? Like, let's look at the team. Let's look at the best pieces that we can build around teams with, including guys who are doing punt builds or people like me who made all-round builds. And again, my MVP for this one is Trey Young. Now, I've said it before that you can do a lot with a Trey Young build. You do have to compensate somewhat, and I've got a bit of a secret that I'm going to tell you after this one, because what I did want to shout out to is our Believe in Fantasy. Make sure you jump in and visit BelieveInFantasy.com. There's gift cards, there's NBA rookie cards there. You can win Hallie, there's Anthony Edwards, there's Mobley, there's Maxey, there's LaMelo Ball, and a mystery PSA graded rookie card as well. And if you want to make sure of it, you can become a Believe in Fantasy MVP community member. You get access to all of the experts. There's their priority DMs and email responses. You get DMac's personal address. You can go around and bring him baked goods. He loves waking up to banana bread. Little known fact about you, DMac. You love that with just the absolute biggest smattering of butter one can imagine.
Absolutely. Bring your bathers, bring your togs. We'll come for a swim. We'll have a grand old time.
Okay, I wasn't putting that in the read, but if you want to give people and people who are our members swims at your house, please, absolutely free. Here is the secret that I had for you. I have a whole show that I'm doing about lightning twice, that it's really hard to land your fantasy airplane twice in a mock draft. And we can become really beholden to certain strategies that we want. Like, I'm going to punt this, I'm going to punt this. And I'll put my build here straight away. I actually went to challenge myself, DMac, with one particular thing. I wanted to rebuild my winning Trey Young build again. And some of these people were in that draft. Josh was in that draft. And I wanted to see if I could again absolutely nail my winning Trey Young build. And I couldn't do it. So let me take you through front to back, because I got the first 3 out of the way. Trey Young, tick. Giddey, tick. Now, some people said it's early for Giddey, around 20. If I need to get the assist that I need to couple up with Trey Young to give me a really big head start early on, this is where I need to do it. Because one of the offsets you have if you want to recoup some of your field goal percentage from Trey Young is you do need to couple Trey Young with some guys who can get you field goal percentage. Who are they? Well, they're going to, generally speaking, be centers or higher usage guys who might take your free throw percentage, but thank God he is very good at it. So there's a balance you can build off. So I got my first three off the board: Trey Young, Edey, and Turner. My fourth pick was Kawhi Leonard. And have a look at this. Kawhi Leonard was taken this time in the third round, the earliest that I had seen him, by the person who drafted before me, Adam King. So I wasn't going to take him here, but I was definitely going to be taking him back around the turn here. Now, also, I know that Kingy is high on Mark Williams. I took Mark Williams exactly where I took him. I was forced because of this to now take Mark Williams around early. I previously got him in the fifth round last time I went up against Kingy. I knew that he would not last back to me for 2 picks because he took Kessler and Pirtle. So I had to draft him in the fourth round, and I had to be aggressive there. I made up for the Kawhi Leonard pick in my fifth round with Zion Williamson, who I thought at this point in the draft had dropped absolutely ridiculously. Now, it is a bit of a punt free throw percentage, and had I drafted, the fact is if I'm drafting Giannis Antetokounmpo and I'm Mike Barner in the first round, there is no way I'm letting Zion Williamson drop to me in the fifth round. There is no way. Like, that is for me like a guy that I'm taking in the fourth here, or definitely before me in the fifth. And he was only hoping and praying, surely by that point, DMac, to get him back at the turn, because that is really a perfect pairing right there.
Absolutely. I'm very surprised that he took Duran ahead of Zion there, particularly as that was probably around the point where there was media day and Zion came out looking skinny, looking fit, looking happy. So I'm actually really surprised that he wasn't taken by Mike Barner. But Duran's not a bad pick, but Zion, is this the breakout season that we've been waiting for how many years? 5, 6 years? It could be. It could be.
I'm hoping.
This is one way to make it happen. You just get your body in great nick and you look good. The mental side of things is hopefully there as well. So I'm hoping that Zion has a fantastic season this year.
Now, this is the other thing. I'm drafting between a rock and a hard place here, because I am drafting either before or after Adam King and Josh Lloyd either time. Like, this is the fantasy equivalent of a rock and a hard place. And this, well, it sucked because then he's taken Embiid, who was in my queue afterwards. Morant was in my queue afterwards for him. So we'll go through the picks by picks, round by round. But I've then filled out with Peyton Pritchard, Shaden Sharp, Jaden McDaniels, who I thought was really great value for me in the 8th round, Kyle Filipowski, and Scottie Pippen Jr., because I was sniped by Josh on Kevin Porter Jr. I just wanted a junior, basically, to finish off my fantasy mock drafts with there at the end. So let's go through and break it down round by round and call it out. So I'll go first round and then take us through the second round. DMac, so we've got Jokic, Wemby, Shea, Luka, Giannis, Cade, Edwards, Davis, Trey Young, Harden to Josh Lloyd at 10. And then to round it off, because we're usually up to here, we're usually into a 12-team format, Karl Anthony Towns and Steph Curry. Extending it into the first round in a 14, we see D-Book and Tyrese Maxey go to Adam Stock. He has then done the perfect pairing of guards to get us elite points, a lot of points, really high free throw percentage, assists off the rip. And Stocky has backed him up with one of your favorite guys as well to pair up Maxey with, the Don Mitchell.
Don is good. Yeah, I really like that, particularly with Garland injured to start the season. He's going to go nuclear. We're going to get some 40-point games out of him this season, particularly at the start. So I really like Don there. Sabonis went to Dan Besbris as the next pick. I'm not a huge Sabonis guy, but at that stage where we're picking, pick 16, it's okay. I'm fine with it. J-Dub went straight after that to Dan Titus. Amen Thompson. Kayla, of course, has taken Amen Thompson. I think he probably would have been taken by Josh had she not had taken him.
Josh or Kingy or me. We all had him in after this was also just after. This is what we have to say why this is one of the latest analyst mock drafts. We have just had the Herro news. We have just had all of the news over the days that this was happening. We had the Tyler Herro outage. We had the Fred VanVleet outage. And then we also had the Jaren Jackson Jr. and all those other outages around the same time. So everyone was learning of this information in analyst world at the same time. And then we were changing our draft strategies as we went, as the news was coming to hand. So we can probably expect Amen to be obviously a second or third round pick in fantasy drafts, 100% a lock now.
I think second round, absolutely a lock. And this is a 14-teamer, but in 12-teamers, it's still going to be
and ahead of Kevin Durant. Crazy.
Yeah, it's a big call, and I know people are quite aggressive on Amen. For me, I'm still taking KD ahead of Amen. Maybe that's just an age thing. Maybe Kayla just wanted the young, exciting guy as opposed to the durable, well, I'll say durable, but the steady professionalism of KD. Perhaps that's what it was. We spoke about Giddey to you at 20. Some think that that's early. However, just to give you context, I'm in a Locked On Fantasy Bowl slow draft at the moment. Josh Lloyd himself has taken Josh Giddey at pick 16. So for you to take him at 20, is that value? If Josh Lloyd himself has taken him at 16.
I was very surprised that Josh let me get him, to be fair. I did not think I was going to get Giddey because when you build off Trey Young or James Harden, and I was going to almost take Harden because I've done the Trey Young build before. I was thinking maybe I'll do Harden this time. And I almost did. I just went Trey Young because I wanted to see if I could replicate. So it was more of a litmus test for like, okay, do we fall in love with the team? Like, this is my killer team. I'm going to do it. Because it didn't pan out. Like I didn't get as many centers as I did last time. So I got Turner, Williams, and then in the 8th round, I had Hartenstein, I got Edey. Well, these guys were off the board for me by the time it came to me. You can just see here that Matt Lawson has taken him on his way back to me. 2 picks later, Zach Edey was going in the 7th round. He's going in the 7th round, 7th pick. I'm picking 9th. And although at this point in time, I probably knew that the spot where he might go to Adam King, I still had a chance of it. But the run on centers in this one was ridiculous. So you can never get lightning twice. So I was surprised that Josh didn't double down on assist, and I knew he must have had a plan for it. And sure enough, that came back to haunt me, and we'll talk about that in the 3rd round when I get there.
And it is interesting that Edey did go there, and Matt Lawson, very astute mind when it comes to dynasty, still fantastic in redraft, but he knows that Zach Edey's trajectory is up and up and up. So perhaps the injury doesn't concern him at all. I think maybe you bump him down a little bit in terms of the draft board, but both of us are still very high on Zach Edey this season and future seasons as well, as Matt Lawson can attest to, being that dynasty professional that he is.
Yeah, 100%. Take us through the rest of that round, brother.
Yeah, so just end of the 2nd round, we spoke about my LeBron James, but going back, Jalen Johnson went to Kingy. I think we're all fans of Jalen Johnson. The one knock that some people have had is that he just hasn't been able to finish a season in the last 2. Yeah. Is there a risk in getting Jalen Johnson that early? I don't think so. The second injury, the injury that he got last season, was a bit of a freak injury. I can't remember. Was it Kyle Kuzma that collided with him? I'm trying to cast my mind back. Yeah. So that was one of those freak injuries. So you don't expect that to happen all the time. But Jalen Johnson there, I'm happy with. Evan Mobley straight after. Good, solid pick there. Chet Holmgren. All of these I can't really dispute, except for maybe the Jalen Brunson one. I think Jalen Brunson is being overvalued by some. We've discussed it previously. Mike Brown's come into the Knicks. We think that there's going to be a bit of a haircut in terms of minutes, but I have actually heard in the media that he still plans to play Jalen Brunson some pretty heavy minutes and high usage. So maybe Mike Barnes heard that as well, going, you know what, Jalen Brunson's still got to be my guy.
And we have Tyler Herro out. We know that. We've got Garland out. The point guards are going early. And as you can see at the end of the round as well, by guys like Steph Curry going off the board, Harden. And you can look at just around here, like the Booker thing. But the reason why, now I've just picked up in the same Lo-Fi Bowl, Jalen Williams with my 2nd pick at 24. And so to see him here go at about 14, 15, 17, and I get him 7 picks later, I was really comfortable with that in a 3rd round reversal. So his value is all over the place. But starting this off, it wasn't 3rd round reversal. This was standard, like going front to back. We can pick it up right about here. And we can see that on the turn here, you've done the LeBron James pairing with Jokic. I've loved Jamal Murray. I love that. I'm thinking about picking up Jamal Murray now in another draft that I'm doing if he comes back to me in 3rd round reversal with the 12th pick. So you to take him here is great because now we've got guys like LaMelo Ball, Derek White, Desmond Bane, Dyson Daniels, a specialist going into Mike Barner. Daniels going off the board here, especially before Kingy gets to take him because he was not lasting past Adam King with his punt on this one. We've got Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox. Really seeing him move into third round favorability in drafts right now is a really big trend. And the earliest that I have seen Kawhi Leonard. Now, this is Kingy. It is a specialist. We probably couldn't see Kawhi Leonard going in many third rounds, although he represents first round value on a season if nothing happens with the whole aspiration inquiry and the whole NBA allegations. But this is what you get. Now, this is where I've gone back into Miles Turner here, a top 30 player potentially, and I'm picking him up now in the 40s, and I'm kind of okay with this value around here. This is a guy I was hoping going to fall to me, and he never seems to fall to me when I want him, and that is Austin Reeves. He is guard and forward eligible. The Lakers have a good schedule. This is a guy who is well and truly on my radar, and Josh picks him up there at the 10th pick. Finishing off the round, we have Jaylen Brown, Franz Wagner, Pascal Siakam, and Zubac from Adam Stock to lock down that center, possibly too high, but basically just drafting him on value of last year and where he can go. He then pairs him up with Trey Murphy, who I know that you're high on.
Very high on Trey Murphy. So Trey Murphy, what is that? Pick 43. Happy with that. I think New Orleans are going to be very competitive this season. Zion looks great, as we spoke about. Herb Jones, who, again, we spoke about him. He went to me later on, but I think the New Orleans Pelicans are going to be quite a bit of a surprise packet this season if Zion can remain healthy. So Trey Murphy there, I like it. Again, people will say, oh, he's always injured, but is that true injury or is it a little bit of just looking after him? It could be a bit of a combination, but love Trey Murphy and his game. Jimmy Butler went to Dan Besbris. That's a specialty of old man Besbris. That's a specialty. Danny Avdia, he's going up draft boards. We heard about Scoot Henderson, so I think that actually increases Danny Avdia's value as well and usage. Cooper Flagg went to Kayla Fonte. I think she's a big fan of Cooper, as I am, but I think Cooper Flagg there is fine. I think I'm comfortable taking him there. Ja Morant, I'm actually pretty high on Ja Morant, as is Josh. So he took Ja Morant there. I think, particularly when we talk about statistical scarcity, I think, particularly if you look at a -1, he's great value right there. And he's taken him after Austin Reeves. He's dialed into those assists with James Harden in the first round. So, nice build in the
early stages. And to talk about this as well, this is exactly where I'm like starting to get a little bit panicky about my assists, because I had Ja in my queue, and then I'm looking about, okay, so who's going to get who where? And this is where I played the Peyton Pritchard game, because you can see that I've taken him in this 6th round and I've had to last back. So now I've got Zion Williamson with the out of position assist in the next round to compensate, because I'm seeing what Josh is doing as an assist leader. So I can tell that he's focused on that. And I could also tell that Adam Stock, who started off with Maxey and the Don, went away with that. And I can see that over here, you were doing that as well. You had kind of started to hammer down the assist. So now I'm going to start having to chase you, even though you've got that. So this is when we're drafting, we need to be aware of what strategies other people in our drafts are doing. So when I've seen Josh take off, I was like, maybe I can let Williams go this one. What is he going to do here? If he takes another assist guy, I'm going to have to get more assists straight away. But I also hadn't drafted a forward yet. And so I needed to get a forward. That's where I picked up Zion in the next round. But this is where we need to be mindful of what's happening around us, not just our own picks, DMac.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be difficult with shorter clocks as well. In a slow draft, it does help, because then you can analyze your opponents. You know how certain people, for instance, Kingy, how he likes to punt and build a punt team. And then you know that I like to build a balanced team, but love to target assists. So if you know your league mates, I think that bodes well for you as well, knowing when to target guys, not just based on ADP.
Exactly. So I knew he wasn't going to last past Adam King. So I've taken Mark Williams here. It's a Kessler, Banchero, Brandon Miller. Love that from Baratha. He was in my queue next round, hopefully as well. Vooch, Thunderdan taking Porzingis. Now, this is one of the earliest picks that I've seen KP, but people are starting to just think that he's going to be healthy and play straight away. So his value was being eclipsed somewhat, but he could be a 2nd-round player at the end of the day. So to see him fall into the 50s here was great picking. Larry Markkinen, Asar Thompson for Noah Rubin. A lot of love for Asar earlier this year, and not as much as his brother, but we're both seeing both the Thompson twins move into these fantasy darlings for this season. You've teamed up here and taken through the next few picks off the board. Your Garland and Herro, and then another bloke you like in New Orleans, Jordan Poole, goes off the board. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of usage to spread on that New Orleans Pelicans team. I think Jordan Poole won't be as effective as he was last season with the Wizards. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm okay with it. I just wanted to go back to that Asar Thompson pick. I think that's probably the earliest I've ever seen Asar Thompson being taken in
looking
any
back at
mocks that I've done so far. Yeah.
I'm bringing up his ADP right now, and it is well off. But this is the thing. When you do have a guy who's a specialist like this, and you're looking at projections and who's doing what and what's doing who and all of these kind of things that we play at, when you're an analyst and you're in these drafts, you basically stick your flag and like, this is one of my guys. Like, I love him this season. And this is one of those plays. And this is a top 50 bloke on the season. So now seeing him around that, it's like I am drafting on value because I think that he will be a top 50 player. He is in the top 50. I am drafting that. So I've got to be a big shout out to Noah Rubin, who is like the young
something about Noah Rubin
like,
as well. I wonder, because I have seen Noah Rubin mock a couple of times, and he's taken Larry Markkinen. Larry Markkinen was taken by Eric Ong, Rotomancer, just the pick before. So I wonder if he would have taken Larry at that point, or he would have taken Asar.
Well,
so
yeah, because you would have been buying bloody point guards drinks at the bar again. So he was like thinking DMac's not going to touch Asar. He's not going to touch Markkinen. And he was probably hoping to pick up Markkinen maybe next, let you get a point guard drunk and take them home with you for your next two picks, which you did. Hello, Darius. Hello, Tyler. And then he would have been hoping possibly to pick him up there and then look for a guard afterwards. But again, he's got LaMelo Ball early. He didn't need to get another guard, but he does like Jordan Poole in New Orleans this year, and there's some love for him there, and there he is sitting there.
Yeah, and straight after Jordan Poole was Donovan Clingan. We're big on Donovan Clingan. I think he's going to have a breakout season this season. Third pick of the 5th round in a 14-teamer, still quite high, but I think he still returns that value, so I'm okay with that. Jarrett Allen, it's okay. It's a solid pick. I don't know what the upside is with Jarrett Allen, so I'm cautious, and I'm hoping for the best because, again, he's in a 30-deep dynasty team that I have. So Jarrett Allen, I hope he has a solid season, but with Evan Mobley's ascension, does Evan Mobley play more at the 5? Does Jarrett Allen become a little bit more maligned? We'll wait and see. The Twin Towers are still working well for now, and we'll see what happens there. Jalen Duren, we spoke about Mike Barner taking Duren ahead of Zion there. So Duren's still a good pick at that point of the draft. Kobe White, I really like Kobe White's outlook for this season. Alex Barutha has taken him there, and he fits nicely with the first few picks of his draft. So Cade Cunningham, Chet Holmgren, Bam Adebayo. He's got a nice mix.
Yeah, I love this from Baratha. A lot of points, also mixing it up with assists. Cade Cunningham there, Kobe White, Bam Adebayo, great out of position assist. And the really like about this, really cunning, the mixed eligibility of Chet and Bam, both being forward and center eligible. He's really locked that down, especially because he's picked up in the 7th round, Nick Claxton. That was a good picking from him. Love this next pick from, I think we're sleeping on OG Anunoby a little bit in fantasy this year. Like, we're just letting him go down our boards, and the big guys like Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen with Josh Hart again? I think OG goes a little bit under the radar, but that's never going to happen in a draft with analysts. Matt Lawson there, Jakob Poeltl. He does. Just shout out to Kingy, who doesn't even draft anyone with guard eligibility until the 8th round, and he only drafts one guard eligible player when we have two. So this is when we also talk about these punt builds. Like, he has to roll these rosters out there. So he's really trying to hammer home what he can get, because he cannot roll them out all the time unless they're in the flex position. But what is he going to be targeting in that point in time? So shout out to Kingy there for drafting a guard in the 8th round. You'd never see you doing that to save your bloody life.
Jakob,
yeah, absolute exact opposite. Jakob Poeltl, Zion Williamson to me there, the 9th pick of the 5th. Joel Embiid to Josh Lloyd there. Now this is where his in the 70s, the indexing for him in your IR spot would absolutely be fine. Now, there was no IR spots there, but to see him fall this late is indicative of where his value is gone. He can be a first-round player. When he plays, he is a first-round player. If we're getting him 50 plus and we can stash him enough, yeah, I'm comfortable with that for Joel Embiid. Zach LaVine, Rudy Gobert, and DeAndre Ayton, and Miles Bridges, Ayton and Bridges all in my queue, Okongwu in my queue, Hardenstein in my queue, Quickly in my queue. All these guys go off really quickly this round. Back to Josh with Julius Randle, and then 6 picks, 6th round, just after the middle tilt, I picked up Peyton Pritchard. This I thought was a nice compliment to get Josh back for the guard usage up above.
Yeah, I think he's got top 50 upside there. So Peyton Pritchard, Very comfortable there. I don't think he has the same risks as Jaylen Brown and Derek White in terms of late season shutdown. If it happens, if the Celtics aren't competitive, I think in the East, they're still going to be competitive. But quickly moving on, Tamari Kamara, I think is solid there, but probably the earliest I've seen. Kel'el Ware is another second-year breakout guy. Paul George,
Can I just ask you on this one then? With that as well, I want to ask you this simple thing. King has a very set structure on what he's doing with this. Is it too early when it makes you dominant in your build? And again, if you're punting and you've got a very dominant build in mind, and if you need to lock that build down to get your 5 to 4 every single week, is it too early or is it just right for your flavor? What do you think? What's your stance on that?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest punter guy, and this is a really hard punt. It doesn't give you that flexibility, but I understand what King is doing. He's going to make himself almost unbeatable in those 5 categories. It's hard to counter sometimes, but if things go awry, you get some injuries, then that's actually really hard to then counter that as well. So I can see it fraught with danger, but I can also see it very difficult to beat. So maybe you're on one side or the other of the argument. I'm definitely on the other side of it. But yeah, I get it. He's going to get his guys. He's going to be almost unbeatable in those defensive categories. Sprinkling a few others, tough to beat, but not impossible. And we've had episodes where we've talked about how you counter certain punts as well.
Yeah, 100%. Pick it up from Paul George. You were curious by that one from Baratha.
Yeah, look, I just don't trust Paul George. I don't know if he even starts the season as well. I've heard little news snippets around Paul George's health. I probably have more faith in Joel Embiid than Paul George, to be honest, and that's saying something. So I just don't know what's going on with Paul George at this stage. So I think it's just the absence of news and updates that's got me a little bit just, I won't say confused, but maybe just avoiding him for now. But hopefully as we approach October 21, we'll get a little bit more clarity on whether or not he will start that season, what the likelihood of him being, managed throughout the season will be. But moving on quickly, Norman Powell. I like Norman Powell with Tyler Herro. He's probably someone I would have targeted had he dropped to me because I had Tyler Herro in the previous round almost as a handcuff there. Josh Hart, we spoke about. If he's coming off the bench, I don't think I would be okay with him at this point, but I would probably look to get him in the next couple of rounds, to be honest, if he is starting on the bench. But again, we've discussed him as being an effective 6-man type of guy, assuming that Mitchell Robinson starts at center for the Knicks. Alex Sarr, again, you've seen those sophomores come off the board, Klingon, Kel'el Ware, and Alex Sarr. So no great surprise. And Edey is in the next round, which we touched on. Now, to finish the round, Brandon Ingram to Noel Rubin and my Cam Johnson pick.
Yeah, you've seen him up nicely with John Collins, who you're high on this season, and Andrew Nemhard getting a bit of a run to start off the 7th round now. We're in the deep 80s. Mattis Buzelis, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr. Funnily enough, again, second time to see that Cam Johnson goes before Michael Porter Jr. Although, can I just say, MPJ highlights that the Nets media put up of him just shooting shot after shot, going in and looking healthy and good and engaged in Brooklyn just makes me fantasy salivate a little bit. I'm like, is there something there that I'm missing? Nick Claxton and Zach Edey.
Don't get sucked in, mate. Don't get sucked in.
I might get sucked in. Get sucked in here.
Don't do it.
Now, Edey going here absolutely broke my heart to Matty Lawson. I did want Edey very badly. That was going to play around because I thought I'd be able to pick up someone. But now I'm kind of like, where do I get my more forward spots? Well, I've got some guards. I've got some eligibility here. So I picked up after Tari Eason. He's gone out of my queue. Thank you very much, Adam King, because I wanted to try and get back some of my steals and my defensive prowess. Or I just needed some more points. And this is what I've done with Shaden Sharp. Mikal Bridges going after that. Jalen Green was another option to Kayla Fonte there with the 11th pick in the 7th round. Devin Vassell, I love this. You can just see your queue being evaporated in the 6th and 7th round because these are the role players that you like in your fantasy drafts that will be absolutely sniped out of your hands. The Pods is out the way there in the 14th pick, and I was probably more heartbroken about this one than anyone else. Adam Stock is building now a similar build to me, I've noticed. And I'm hoping that he doesn't take Dante DiVincenzo, who is going to get a lot of run in the point guard spot, one would say, with the decline of Mike Conley. And he has taken him out of my hands, and I cried myself to sleep that night. And to Derek Lively at the top of the round, mate.
Yeah, big fan of Derek Lively. Starting center, I would assume, for the Dallas Mavericks. So like Lively there, he'll get you the field goal percentage, the blocks that you need. So difficult to get some high-quality centres at this point of the draft, and I had that issue at the very end. So Derek Lively in the 8th round, very happy with that from Adam Stock. Keegan Murray, we spoke about him sort of being a little bit maligned alongside of those other guys, but yeah, very important to what the Kings are all about. So like that in terms of value pick. Benedict Mathurin, is he going to be a most improved player caliber type of guy this season? If he is, absolute winner at this point, but it's the efficiency that could be the killer as well. So that's a must watch. I'm very keen to see how Mathurin goes this season. Naz Reid, Draymond Green, and your Jaden McDaniels. Very solid pick at this point because he was better than this last season. So I can't see him being worse.
And he did have a slow start to the season. I even saw him dropped off on waiver wires. People just wanted to get rid of him and clear house, and that's fine. But when he hit his straps in the last 3 months of the year, I believe he was the 45th or 46th best player in fantasy. So now to get him in the hundreds, I am assuming, let's just say he's not as good as last year. He's not as bad as where I'm getting him, and he's happy medium in between. So I'm getting 2 rounds of value here, and I like that because I need another forward spot to pair up in there. Cason Wallace, Scoot Henderson, this was before the Scoot news, and we can feed into that a little bit later. Reed Shepherd, obviously, this is on the back of the FVV news, and this is the first analyst draft. This was actually happening as the FVV news came out. And so he was then one of the first 2 guys off the board after Scoot Henderson. And I could probably say Matty Lawson dialing it back may have taken Shepherd had we known about the Scoot news. CJ McCollum, I'm probably sure that you were very upset that you couldn't get him there at the end of the day. Bobby Portis, after that, who I was upset with Thunder Dan for being taken out. He was another good option with his forward and center eligibility to get you in a round like this. And this is a round where experts and analysts are taking him early in the hundreds, but we are seeing him go in regular drafts around the 120s. I know in your Yahoo mock draft today, I think he went in the 120-ish or 130s. Bobby Portis, so picking him up here was great. Keyshawn George, I should say, Jalen Suggs, and then a great pick from you, safe as houses, Tobias Harris. Knew you were taking him, was happy you were taking him, and you paired him in with your mate Herbie Jones.
Yeah, boring picks, but boring, like I said, boring can still win your championship. So Tobias Harris, great value there. Herb Jones, I'm high on this season. Anthony Simons, probably coming off the bench behind Peyton Pritchard, but I still think a fantastic source of points, threes, good free throw percentage. And if he does get moved, maybe he gets moved to a better situation as well. So don't mind that pick at all because it is difficult to get points late in the draft. Isaiah Jackson, we went through Isaiah Jackson's value or perceived value in our Flyers episode. So make sure you go and pick that up and check that out as well. But Ajax there to Rotomancer, Eric Ong. So I really like that. D'Angelo Russell, I know you're big on D'Lo this season.
Yeah, look, I'm big on D'Lo to start
the season anyway. Yeah.
Look, I'm not like big, like, you've got to get D'Lo, but I like D'Lo. We've seen him, we're 2 seasons away from seeing him as a top 80 player in fantasy. Things didn't go well, let's say, with the Lakers last year. We know he was moved off. He was in Brooklyn. He played basketball. He's now in Dallas, and he has a job to do. And if your job to do as well involves the person you used to do your job well with, his name is Anthony Davis. So D'Lo and AD, I just can't underplay the fact that these guys have a historical connection. We all talk about people playing with people again, and wouldn't it have been great to see KD go back with Steph? But we also saw there were times where these 2 really worked well together and complement each other. And the rumor is that AD said, well, let's get D'Angelo in here because he'll be able to back up Kyrie's spot. I've played with him. I can work with him. And that's speaking volumes. And so I do see that he has a role. Santi Aldama, this was straight off the rip as well after we had the ear injury news of Jaren Jackson Jr. and Edey. But this is where you draft him in drafts, in the 110s.
Yeah, I think there's still value there, particularly at the start of the season. Didn't mention Brandon Clark as well. So Santi Aldama is going to get a really nice run to start the season.
Yeah, mate, take us through the rest of this round because I know that there's a guy coming up in a couple of picks time, the Quesadilla, that you want to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about Quesadilla, but Keontae George went next, then Neemias Queta. So he would have been a fantastic target of mine. The guy that Matt Lawson took straight after Neemias Queta as well. So he took Neemias Queta and Jay Huff, both guys I wanted. So thanks to Matt Lawson. Again, these 2 guys we spoke about in our Flyers pick, but they're not Flyers when it's an industry mock because they're just high profile, high visibility. get these
All
guys.
these guys, Aldama, George, Cater, Robinson, Filipowski, we all mentioned these in our late round flyers show. And these are guys in the industry. Our hand was forced to take these guys where we're taking them at this point.
Yep, absolutely. I see a few other names like Taylor Hendricks as well, Kevin Porter Jr. All these guys definitely flyer picks in most situations. A higher profile, like I said, in these industry mocks. But Mitchell Robinson, another one, flyer pick. So Mitch Robinson, Filipowski, Andrew Wiggins as well. I think he's got some nice value there without Tyler Herro. I think he's going to start the season really, really well. Jaden Ivey, going to be interesting to see how he integrates back into that Pistons lineup, but he's still young enough to really, I think he's still got some improvement to show, and just to show his wares at the Pistons as well, alongside of Cade. And I think it could be a decent season for him, but the proof is in the pudding. So let's see how that plays out. And Kayla, she has spoken about Jaden Ivey as well in the past. So a great surprise that she picked him up there. Cam Thomas, great source of points and threes. The only issue is the shutdown risk. That's why I will be avoiding Nets pretty much every single opportunity that I get. Bradley Beal, I was going to say this is an old man style pick, and it was old man Besbris that took Bradley Beal. So no surprise there. Kelly Oubre, again, we spoke about Kelly Oubre in the 76ers rotation being forgotten about. Kelly Oubre had a pretty solid season.
This is on the back of that. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because this is on the back of the Jared McCain news. So Adam Stock has just picked him up now at the turn because of that. And then he's backed him up with Naismith, again, who we have spoken about in our Flyers show. And this is where, on the back of that news, Jared McCain, we also had the Scoot Henderson news the same day. And look who has gone off. Josh Lloyd called it out. I wanted Drew Holiday. I was hoping that Drew Holiday or Kevin Porter Jr. would be available, and someone would take one of those two, being Josh probably before me, and I'm picking them up last. Because you can see Josh's build again there is targeting the forwards, getting the positional rebound, the positional assists. Randall, Green here with the dual eligibility, and Wiggins adding points late into the draft, and then topping that up with the point guard, where I'm just trying to consolidate my field goal percentage, having Trey Young there. But I really hope that I could pick up Drew Holiday. This was on the back. We know that I've been picking him up in drafts consistently, and so seeing him now was no surprise there. Gafford Collier, again, to Cal Fonte, who's mentioned him. Great. We've mentioned him in our Flyer show as well. Really awesome. Late round assist guy, DMac.
Yeah, and again, statistical scarcity, very difficult to get good solid assists at that point. You will cop a hit in terms of efficiency from Collier, but when you're looking for assists, let's hope that you've built up enough of a buffer with your field goal percentage and free throw percentage to take on the hit that you'll get from Collier.
100%. Kevin Porter Jr. to Josh, then me, Scottie Pippen Jr., my other guard, who is my specialist for some assists and steals at the end of my draft. Taylor Hendricks was in my queue. Jay Huff, someone who I know you had your eyes on. We're hoping he would fall to you. Kyle Kuzma, some late round rebounds there to Alex Baratha with some points and some threes. TJ McConnell, another one of these last round Flyers who we mentioned in the point guard spot. Roto Mansa, Davion Mitchell, the other one on the back of the Tyler Herro news, mixed in with the peppering to Thunder Dan at the 10th round, 11th pick, PJ Washington, Jovic. And before finish it off, you gave us the big one to finish off the draft, mate.
Yeah, the big boner. He's on the rise.
Yeah, he is. And look, I think it's an absolutely safe as houses 140 pick to be able to make and to bring Boner into your squad there. Why? Because he, for all intents and purposes, can do exactly what he did last season to start the season. So why would we not take that value into our roster and draft him there at the very last pick? Top 100 player if Joel Embiid is out. And that's the recap, my guy.
Great review, mate. Thank you very much. It was a really nice draft to be a part of. It would be interesting to see how it would play out if we were to actually let it play out. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, look, I really liked it. I thought I did really well in the draft. I got the guys who I wanted to pivot to, which is always the indicator. Like if I needed to pivot, I got to do that. But again, knowing Kingy's strategy when he's, basically telegraphing at every pick, I'm like, okay, I'm going to really be struggling to get my steals. I'm going to try and get them, but I know I'm going to be snubbed on the way back. So who do I take before he takes them the next round? That was really tough. Josh had a similar, and Adam Stock had a similar draft in mind as well. So now I'm competing against that. But look, I got my guys. There was a few guys I was a bit shirty about, and we exchanged some messages there. But picking at the turn in a non-third round reversal, You really love how that bit managed to enable your guards and managed to fill your assist cup up very, very early. Like you were just like a pig and poo.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. But I guess the take home for me is just know who you're drafting against, if possible. You're not always going to know that. Understand if they're going to a punt. Some people telegraph it very obviously. Obviously, shout out Adam King. But also, practice makes perfect. We've got 3 weeks until NBA season kicks off. So keep those mocks coming. Keep watching what we're doing as well. Get insights on how you should be drafting. And keep practicing your builds as well. So hopefully this goes a long way towards you smashing your draft and dominating your league.
Absolutely. Make sure you like and subscribe to all things DMac, which is at NBA Fantasy Bubble. You can find me at NBAGWiz. Give us a follow on the Instagram, the X account, and on Twitter, which is the same thing as X. Blue Sky is the other thing. It's a sky, it's outside, and we hope it's blue for you on your horizon. Have an absolute cracking day, weekend, whatever you're listening to this podcast. Get everything believed, get everything fresh, hot off the presses right here. So take care, be well, and we'll see you soon, guys. Later.